you miss any of the Karen Reed murder trial today? We have you covered. We're getting you caught up on everything you may have missed and what you can expect next in the trial. That's just minutes away at 7.
I'm a Lyft driver who is also a college student.
I drive part-time with DoorDash to take care of my parents.
I drive with Uber to support my family.
These app-based drivers are independent contractors. They work when they want, how they want. And 85% of drivers want to keep it that way. But some officials want to force drivers to be company employees.
A traditional 9-to-5 just wouldn't work for me.
We want to stay independent. Say yes to drivers. Say yes to independence.
You're watching NBC 10 Boston. News worthy of you. Tonight on Canton Confidential. A highly anticipated day of testimony started with a rapid cross of Brian Albert.
I didn't know John that well. I had only met him a few times.
Questions over cell phone data.
I'm sure that the data's not there anymore, I'm sure.
It's destroyed, sir, correct?
I don't know that for a fact.
As 2 more members of the Albert family took the stand, highlighting what happened inside.
Everyone was just kind of like having a good time, hanging out.
Before that deadly discovery outside. We're breaking it all down right now on Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial.
We've entered week 3 of testimony. It's good to have you joining us tonight. I'm Glenn Jones.
I'm J.C. Monahan. So today, members of the Albert family took the stand, and we're going to get to their testimony in just a moment. But first, we want to give you a quick recap of what happened last week. We heard from members of the Canton Police Department with an emphasis on how they collected evidence and their connections in town. We also heard from friends of John O'Keefe and people who were with him the night he died. And by the end of the week, we were introduced to Nicole and Brian Albert, owners of the home where John O'Keefe was found in January of 2022. Today, testimony resumed with the cross-examination of Brian Albert.
Brian Albert grew up in and later owned the home on 34 Fairview Road. He sold the residence in 2023. Albert served as a Marine and then joined the Boston Police Department, where he worked for about 30 years. He was a sergeant detective and is now retired. We also heard from his son, Brian Albert Jr., and his daughter, Caitlin.
For more on these key moments from today's testimony, we want to go to Kirsten Glavin live in Dedham. Kirsten?
Well, Karen Reed's attorney, Alan Jackson, grilled Brian Albert on the stand today during his testimony. We asked Jackson when he was leaving court if he thinks it's possible that the Alberts could have been sleeping through all the commotion of that morning. He said he did not, adding that he thought it was impossible their dog Chloe could have either. Back on the stand for a cross-examination.
Here to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Brian Albert, the property owner where John O'Keefe's body was found dead in the front yard.
Isn't it true that you were asked the question whether or not you knew Karen Reed?
Albert initially testifying that he didn't know or hardly knew Karen Reed, but the defense showing this photo of Albert and John O'Keefe 6 days before the incident. Reed allegedly took it.
Karen Reed took the photo. You're literally staring right at her, correct?
I don't know who took the photo.
This video then shown of Albert and Reed seemingly talking at the Waterfall Bar and Grill the night before O'Keefe died.
Did you or did you not have conversations with Karen Reed that night?
I do not recall having conversations with Karen Reed that night at all, no.
The next morning, Albert testifying he and his wife slept through the screams and emergency vehicles outside of his bedroom window.
And your explanation is that you and Nicole and Chloe, the German Shepherd, all slept through the entirety of that commotion on your front lawn.
Yes.
Reed's defense team also accusing Albert of later getting rid of his cell phone 1 day before receiving a state order to preserve his data. Albert claiming he needed an upgrade.
I'm sure that the data's not there anymore, I'm sure.
It's destroyed, sir, correct?
I don't know that for a fact.
The final line of questioning asking why call logs show calls between Albert and Brian Higgins at around 2:20 in the morning. Albert denying they ever spoke until later.
But on the morning you find out that John O'Keefe is laying dead or dying on your lawn, the first call you made at 7:20 was to Brian Higgins. Is that right?
Yes.
Siblings Brian Albert Jr. and Caitlin Albert taking the stand after.
We were just all hanging out, listening to music. We ate some food.
Both describing a fun evening inside the home.
We were just kind of hanging out. I remember that my mom had grabbed like a small speaker and put some music on. We had a couple drinks and everyone was just kind of like having a good time, hanging out.
As for Brian Higgins, it came out in court that he also allegedly got rid of his cell phone sometime after O'Keefe died. The court will resume tomorrow. We're scheduled for another half day. Back to you guys in the studio.
Kirsten, thank you. We're joined now by Michael Coyne, Dean at the Massachusetts School of Law. Welcome back to Canton Confidential. Thank you.
Michael, most of us are listening to this online streaming, and if you were, you heard cross-examination about what Kirsten just talked about the phone, and then we heard the whole line of questioning again. I assume the jury wasn't there for the first time. Can you just tell us what the difference was between it? Because it seemed identical unless, perhaps you know better.
The judge wanted to see if there was a foundation for the admissibility of the evidence. And before she can rule on its admissibility, she wanted to have that hearing. So there was a mini hearing on it. Jury's removed. They put their information in. She decides whether they can go forward with it or not. And then the jury returns, and in accordance with her ruling, then they can allow that form of questioning in that line of that area that they wanted to inquire about.
So ultimately, the jury does hear that Brian Albert destroyed his phone a day before he was requested to preserve it. Is that going to strike the jury as suspicious?
Yes, it will.
Just to be clear, I just wanted to jump in. He wanted to say he upgraded his phone. So there was a discrepancy, but still,
but that's an important discrepancy because I did find it credible, or that the jury could find it credible, that in upgrading his phone, yes, there may have been some data lost. But I thought that whole exchange may not have had the impact that the defense expected. If I were inquired about how my iPhone works and under what circumstances I can turn it on and whether data comes over, I have my tech guys for that. I don't know how all that works. I use my phone. We all use our phones. So I'm not so sure that was as effective as the defendant expected. And I do think that some of us would buy into the story that I did replace my phone. It was old, it was cracked, it was this, it was that. It didn't come across, at least to me, as sinister as it may have been spun earlier in time.
Okay, Michael Coyne, thank you. Don't go far. We'll be seeing you again. We'll also be seeing our Sue O'Connell.
She was back in the courtroom today, and there was one moment in particular that really got the jury's attention. We'll talk about it when we come back.
Sports insiders you know and trust from NBC Sports Boston.
It confirms they're the best team in the league and they should win the championship.
All the deals are getting done right now.
Are also on NBC 10 Boston.
Up next for us is Michael Holly. He's right there.
What's up, Glenn?
It's a big game for them tonight to try to stamp themselves and say, hey, we can compete against the best.
Yeah. Nobody has you covered like our team.
Guess what? This play is worthy of you.
NBC Sports Boston and NBC 10 Boston. Sports coverage and news worthy of you.
Don't drive dirty. Prestige Car Wash, home of the free vacuum. Join our VIP Wash Club for just $19.99 a month. Wash your car every day. Cancel anytime. 22 locations in Greater Boston.
Free vacuum for everyone!
Have you been waiting to make a change? It's time. Rethink the way you live. And right now, get 15% off everything. Experience the difference at Jordan's.
In my bag like a bunch of groceries, all this cheese and greens just come to me.
Freedom you can't take your eyes off. The new 2024 Jeep Wrangler and Gladiator. Jeep, there's only one.
During Jeep 4x4 season, current FCA lessees can get $15,500 in lease support on the 2024 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 4xe. See your local Jeep dealer today.
Are you ready? Get ultra-reliable, ultra-fast award-winning internet, starting at $20 a month, and add unlimited mobile for free. Be astounded. Switch today.
Join our VIP Wash Club. Only $19.99 per month. Cancel anytime.
Prestige Car Wash, home of the free vacuum.
Wash your car every day.
Cancel anytime.
Free vacuum for everyone!
Mr. Albert, are you close friends with Brian Higgins?
I wouldn't describe it as close friends, no.
He's a fellow law enforcement officer, correct?
Yes.
Without telling me anything that he may have actually said, did he mention Karen Reed or the topic of Karen Reed?
No, never.
Did he mention the fact that he'd been texting and flirting with Karen Reed 2 weeks prior?
No.
That moment caught the attention of a lot of people watching the Karen Reed trial today, including members of the jury. And we know this because we have a courtroom insider. Sue O'Connell is back with us in the studio. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you. Tell us what the jury did when that little piece of info came out.
You know, as we've been talking, you know, we keep going over the same information over and over again. And even as Michael pointed out, that information about the cell phones was also getting a little glazy to people. And, you know, they're sitting there and they're a good jury. They're paying attention. They're looking up. They're writing things down. But there was sort of this drifting just before Brian Albert said that. And as soon as he said flirty texts, Karen Reed and Brian Higgins, they all just sat up like a bunch of, you know, little animals popping out of holes and looked like, what? What is this? And to me, as I keep saying, I'm not doing deep dives on this trial, on this case. I'm not in the rabbit hole. So it was new information to me as well. So that added another level of it. And it's interesting because over the past few days, we haven't really been talking about Karen Reed. She pops up in things, and do you know Karen? Is Karen here? But we're not talking about her. We're talking about this constellation of planets that are around here. And now suddenly this elusive Brian Higgins, who was at the Canton police station at 1 o'clock in the morning, allegedly, that we don't know what time he was at the house or what time he left the house. And now suddenly there's this alleged direct connection that the defense is making between Brian Higgins and Karen Reed. So it really did catch the attention of the jury.
Just very quickly, can they ever enter those texts? I mean, they're just saying they're a flirty text. Have we seen?
We haven't seen them yet,
okay.
So we will find out if Brian Higgins takes the stand. His phone, as we have learned, also got some kind of mysterious upgrade before that was able to be entered into evidence. As we also know, the text still exists, though. So on examination, I guess we'll find out. Maybe we have Karen Reed's phone. I don't know. We'll find out.
And of course, Brian Higgins is the ATF agent who had an office in the same building as the Canton Police Department.
Exactly.
And that's how he's connected to all of this. All right, we saw a post that you made on X. We've been following you very closely there. So this one caught our attention. It says, Jackson, Karen Reed's lawyer, is vigorously detailing iPhone use the way Lally, the prosecutor, detailed the weather. The point he's trying to get to is, how did you butt dial Higgins?
Yeah, I mean, this was, and Michael was just talking about this, getting into the detail of whether your screen is locked and when you can call and how it happened. I mean, I got confused, and I've had an iPhone, you know, almost since day one. So he really, I think, for the first time, kind of lost the thread of getting the jury to pay attention. And remember, Brian Albert is a very experienced testifier, as was established.
Yeah.
He's been a Boston police officer before retiring for some 30 years. He's testified over 100 years. So he wasn't going to give up anything easily to the defense on this matter. And if you ask me if I could make a call if I picked my phone up now, I would honestly say I don't know. So I think he went down a bit of a rabbit hole, Jackson did on that really, I think, glazed over to, as Michael said, the shocking point that they wanted to make was that your phone had an upgrade just the day before you got this notice, which you said you didn't know, and I think that got lost on the jury.
So you're concerned, as Coin is, that what they hoped to get from this phone business didn't really land the way they wanted it to.
No, and this is something, having been on a jury once, that if they go back and review the evidence and the testimony, they might be able to say, oh, okay, this happened, but they're going to have to pick it out.
Yeah, that's in small, detailed, very small detail. All right, Sue, stay there as well. We're going to be back with Sue in just a moment. But also joining us will be attorney Catherine Loftus.
She'll help us grade the job done so far by the prosecution.
A slow network is no network for business. That's why more choose Comcast Business. And now we're introducing Ultimate Speed for Business, our fastest plans yet. We're up to 12 times faster than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And existing customers could even get up to triple the speeds at no additional cost. It's Ultimate Speed for ultimate business.
Don't miss out on our fastest speed plans yet. Switch to Comcast Business and get started for $59.99 a month. Plus, ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card. Call today.
Chrysler Pacifica is the most awarded minivan 7 years in a row. And it's all thanks to parents like you, mother of 4 boys under 10. You do all you can to keep these wildebeest safe. The Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid. The most awarded minivan with the most standard safety features in its class.
Right now, get 2.9% financing for 72 months. Plus, you may qualify for up to a $7,500 federal tax credit on the 2023 Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid.
Kick off the summer in style during Bernie and Phil's Memorial Day savings event. Save up to 20% off your entire furniture purchase. Plus, get 0% financing for 1 year. Or choose 0% financing up to 60 months with no minimum purchase required. Select from in-stock items available for next day delivery. Or customize and receive in as little as 30 days. Make your home more comfortable with savings up to 20% off. Or 0% financing up to 60 months from Bernie and Phil's.
That's nice.
My sons, Tuck and Pete, lead the law firm of Sweeney Merrigan. Sure, they're brothers, but they can be as different as night and day. Tuck is quick on his feet. Pete, quick on the draw. Street smart, book smart, great talker, great listener. They each have their own special traits. Together, they're unstoppable. It's not the luck of the Irish. They're just that good. Take it from their mother. If you've been seriously injured, you don't need a miracle. You just need a Merrigan.
It's Ford SUV season. Time to get out there and take on adventure in a whole new way. Start with great offers on Ford Bronco and Bronco Sport, all equipped with 4x4 capability and with the help of GOAT modes to go over any type of terrain. All in stock and ready for immediate delivery. It's Ford SUV season. Let's get going. Now lease a Ford Bronco Sport for $329 a month for 24 months. In stock, only at your New England Ford dealer.
We're in week 3 of testimony in the Karen Reed murder trial, and we've heard from a number of witnesses.
So far, the prosecution has called 28 witnesses, 2 of John O'Keefe's family members, 14 Canton first responders, 5 of O'Keefe's friends, or people who were out with him that night, the bartender from the Waterfall Bar and Grill, and 6 members of the Albert family. While we've gotten days of testimony so far, it feels like the prosecution has a lot more to prove in order to make its case.
So joining us right now is local attorney Catherine Loftus, known on TikTok as Note My Objection.
Yes.
Thank you, JC.
Let's put the defense aside for a second. Put all of the things they have done. Just focus on the prosecution and what they've achieved. What have they achieved?
They have achieved a little bit of establishing the scene with the police officers, the firefighters, the paramedics. It's really interesting. The question I'm getting most is it seems like the prosecution is trying to disprove the defense's theory about the third-party culprit, because what are these witnesses really establishing? The Alberts, Nicole, Brian Jr., because really all they have to testify to is what was happening at the bar that night and what happened when they went home. So as we've talked about over the past few days, they really are almost trying 2 separate cases with 2 entirely different theories. So it's been interesting.
But if you had to, I'm sorry, Glenn, if you had to make a checklist though, you said establish the fact that it happened, right? And
so I think what is likely to happen, I think what the Commonwealth is doing, and I was unsure about what order they were going to be calling their witnesses in, but I think what they're trying to do now is sort of preemptively rebut the defense's argument about the third-party culprit. So really they're asking a lot of questions that are relative to the defense's theory, not actually proving anything for the Commonwealth's case. I think what we're likely to see next is really the meat of what the Commonwealth's case hangs on, which is, you know, the data, the evidence, the experts. So right now, I think that these civilian witnesses, it's almost in a preemptive rebuttal.
Get it out of the way.
Correct.
But wait, if you've analyzed their tactic correctly there, it does seem upside down to me, at least. If I was a juror, I would prefer to know what the hard evidence is first before trying to disprove something that the opposing counsel is going to do.
So I think from my perspective, you don't ever want to leave the jury with the poorest part of the case. So the strength of the Commonwealth's case, I think, is likely to be their experts, the forensic, the chemists, really not the civilians. I think where the argument goes the other way towards the defense is in fact, the mischaracterizations, the inconsistencies in the civilian witnesses. So when the Commonwealth ends and rests their case, they want to end it on a high note. So you really want to save your best evidence for last, because what they're going to hear next is from the defense, who's going to completely rebut it.
So what I might be feeling as impatience could be strategic.
I think it is. I think it certainly is tactical, and that's a lot of what being a trial attorney is about when to call a certain witness, what kinds of questions to ask them, maybe to refrain from a certain line of questioning you were going to go down, and oftentimes that just develops as the case moves along. So I think that probably the Commonwealth saw where the defense was going early on, and they said, let's just pivot. We'll call the civilians on the front end, and we'll take everything else on the back end.
All right, I look forward to seeing where it develops, because you listed all the number of witnesses that have been up there.
Yeah, 28 so far.
28 so far. Do you think they had to put, for example, Nicole and Brian Albert up there so it didn't show like they were hiding them? In other words, we have nothing to hide, so we're going to, instead of waiting for them to just be a defense witness.
I think so. You always want to be on the front of it, and particularly in a case like this. We know this is not the normal type of case.
Not by
any means. Yeah. But from my perspective, what the Commonwealth is doing correctly is that if you have bad stuff that's coming out from the defense, if you know they're going to be using it, if you know they're going to be attacking your witnesses, maybe just do it yourself, put it out there, and take a little bit of the wind out of the sails. So I definitely think it's tactical, and whether it pays off, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
Well, that's the first explanation I've gotten. So that, that's starting. Yes, that's starting to line up.
All right.
Thank you, Catherine Loftus.
Thank you.
Still more to come when we get back, including an update on a witness accused of perjury.
We want to help you answer some questions about the trial, like I just got from Catherine. Email us at canton.confidential@nbcuniversal.com, and we will be right back.
There is so much that still needs to be improved, and that is where this nonprofit comes in.
Yeah, so our mission is to increase opportunities for affordable housing in communities of color. So we work with families to support their dreams of owning a home in the future.
Weather on NBC 10 Boston is brought to you by View Boston.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can capture all the summer fun. Wow. My favorite party trick.
College students and recent grads could get a $500 rebate over and above most other offers. Toyota, let's go places.
Change is never easy. There will be naysayers, doubters, and critics. You may even give up for a moment, only to start again another day. Because you believe in moving to the beat of your own drum, in passing down lifelong skills, in your ability to lose weight and keep it off. And when you believe you can succeed, you already have.
Wegovy is for adults with obesity and shouldn't be used with semaglutide or GLP-1 medicines. Don't take Wegovy if you or your family had medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if allergic to it. Stop Wegovy and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may happen, including pancreatitis and gallbladder problems. Wegovy may cause low blood sugar in people with type 2 diabetes, especially if you take medicines to treat type 2 diabetes. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes, or if you feel your heart racing while at rest. Depression or thoughts of suicide may occur. Call your provider right away if you have any mental changes. Common side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may cause kidney problems.
So keep on believing, because it's not just about the weight you lose, it's about everything you gain. Believe on. Wegovy.
Where can you get Wi-Fi speeds faster than Verizon? X marks the spot. Get the lowest price ever for Xfinity Gig Speed Internet with unlimited data included. That's Xfinity Gig Speed Internet for only $30 a month for 12 months with no annual contract when you add a line of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited. If you want to save more than $800 over Verizon in your first year, X marks the spot. Switch to fast, reliable Xfinity Internet and bring on the good stuff.
If you really want to understand someone and understand their story, Sometimes all you need to do is make that extra connection and just be there. We are back now with Michael Cohen and Sue O'Connell. And before we get to the witness accused of perjury, we have one more, we'd say, unusual moment from today.
Yeah, we saw a video shown by the defense taking us from the bulkhead at 34 Fairview out into the backyard. No snow on the ground here, so this was taken in a different season. The defense was able to show the video and got some questions in afterwards. Listen.
Did you recognize what was depicted in the video as it continued to play?
Yes.
Describe that for the jurors, please.
It looked like the video was from walking from the backyard towards the front yard.
So the video started at the bulkhead door, turned toward the fence, went through the fence, and right up toward the flagpole, correct?
Yes.
All right, so you pointed out the moment that this happened that it was odd to you that the prosecution didn't object.
Yeah, it was odd to me, Michael, and I'm interested, obviously, in your opinion, because they were able, the defense was, with a prosecution witness, able to explain and show how a body would have been moved out of the basement through the bulkhead and delivered right where the body was found by the flagpole. And as soon as Jackson started, or I think it was Jackson started that line of questioning, we all waited for the objection from Lally, and it didn't come, and we all just looked at each other like, you just gave this theoretical idea of a body being moved out of the basement and placed there with no evidence at all that happened, and you didn't object. Why didn't he object?
I think he should have objected. It was the low point of the examination. Despite the prosecution having a couple of good days, there were some bad moments, and that was one of them. The fact is they're allowed, though, to present an alternative theory about how this crime took place. There should be more evidence that supports it before they're allowed to paint such a vivid picture. And they were able to do that with that demonstration.
Not just, I was just going to say, not just paint the picture, actually show how it would be done. I know it was a different season, but come on. The only thing I thought was a nice strike back, nice is a poor choice of words, was on the recross was about how loud it would be for those doors to open, how much sound that would have made. So it just at least was some fact that could offset what they said.
But also, if there was a fight in the basement and they had a body they had to move, they're not going to worry about waking up the rest of the house, which is sort of what that led to, you know.
Right. There's a bunch of internal inconsistencies with that theory and that argument. And the facts we didn't see over the last couple days from the homeowners at all.
Michael, let's pick up a point that Catherine made in the last segment about perhaps it being strategic that the prosecution waits until it is about to rest its case to present its strongest evidence. You told us last week there's also a risk of a juror making a decision, a conclusion after weeks of testimony, and then only subconsciously cherry-picking the things that confirm what they already believe. Do you believe that risk still exists?
Oh, absolutely exists. I mean, you know, we've watched it now for a couple of weeks. We have started to take positions and think of how we expect the jury's going to react. Some of those jurors have been waiting for real scientific evidence, the CSI information, the recreation of the accident itself to see whether that theory makes sense. We haven't seen any of that.
That's things that you've been talking about.
Well, that's I'm itchy for it. So
they may be backloading the case, but that comes with a great deal of risk. The other theory sometimes is, well, you break it all down, you give them your worst points, and you fill it in the end with the best. That's a real risk that people have already made the decision up.
We love having you guys here. We're out of time.
Thanks.
We'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night.
We are following developments on this project here in Chinatown. The city
says the project
should
be completed with very little disruption, both to businesses and the day-to-day lives of residents. Reporting live in Chinatown, I'm Malcolm Johnson, NBC 10 Boston.
Hey, hey, baby, you're the one that I love. Hey, hey, baby, you're the one that I'm always thinking of. I'm always thinking.
Let love bloom in a brand new 2024 Subaru Forester. Buy with 1.9% financing or lease for just $319 per month. All things grow with love. It's what makes Subaru, Subaru.
Shell Renewable Race Fuel. Reducing emissions by 60%. We're moving forward with IndyCar because we're moving forward with everybody. Shell, powering progress.
I did know that back pain, foot pain come along with the job of waiting tables.
This is Tony.
Things that I've tried have failed.
And this is Tony's Good Feet story.
Before my arch supports, I felt defeated, but since getting the arch supports from the Good Feet store, I have had no pain, which still is kind of crazy to me. I'm more positive. It's like opening up a whole new life, like sunshine coming out. I would recommend it to anyone. You've tried everything that's not working, give it a try.
See how we can help you too at the Good Feet store.
Don't drive dirty. Prestige Car Wash, home of the free vacuum. Join our VIP Wash Club for just $19.99 a month. Wash your car every day. Cancel anytime. 22 locations in Greater Boston.
Free vacuum for everyone! There is so much that still